We are Mindy
and Carl,
and this is Living a Fi Life, where we talk about what happens after you reach financial independence.
Why do we call this show Living a Fi Life?
Because we're talking about and talking to people who are living their best life after reaching financial independence.
Happy 2025. Today we're going to recap 2024 and look at what's next in 2025. We've got some big changes planned to our mindset for the new year.
Okay, Carl, we started off 2024 traveling. Like literally, we left on December 31st, 2023 and went on a week-long cruise to Mexico. That was a lot of fun. We had a great time with our girls. And it was the start of a very, very traveling 2024.
Yeah, this was a pretty crazy year as far as that goes. I'm thinking about when I was a kid, our vacations were getting in the back of a pickup truck, going to Wisconsin, the next state over, sleeping in the back of the pickup truck for a weekend, and coming back home. I think I took one plane flight in my life before the age of 18, and now it seems like we're on a plane every other week. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but let's talk a little bit more about some of our trips. After that cruise, what did you do?
I went back to Mexico. So our cruise was on the Pacific side, and then I joined Amberly Grant and her FinTalks cruise on the Gulf side of Mexico and had a lovely time there too. I met a lot of really interesting people, and we are all going on that again in February. And didn't I just say this is going to be 2024 was the year of travel? I guess we didn't say that 2025 isn't going to be the year of travel, but it will, except for all the travel that's already planned.
Yes, it'll be the year of less travel.
2025 is also going to be the year of no, which is an interesting topic that we will get into a little bit later. So I had 2 cruises in January, and people are like, wow, you must really like cruises. Not so much. We went on the one with our girls, and then I went on this one with Amberly. What did we do in June, Carl?
We went on another cruise. We went up to Alaska from Seattle, but we didn't just do that. We drove there. So we got in the old family truckster. That's a dated reference, National Lampoon's Vacation. We drove up through Wyoming, Montana, through Idaho, and then finally to Seattle, jumped on a boat and went to Alaska, which was pretty cool. And that wasn't enough. We did a road trip down the Pacific Coast Highway after that, down through Oregon, and then drove back after that. How long were we gone for?
We were gone for 3 weeks. And we discovered that that's a little too long for us. And I think this is really interesting. A large portion of the FIRE community talks about travel, and travel is one of the reasons why they're searching for financial independence so they can go off and see the world. And you and I have had a couple of years where we were very heavy traveling, and we've kind of come to the conclusion that we like our house, we like our neighborhood, we like our local friends, and it's nice to go see something, but it's also nice to be at home. So in 2025, we are pulling back on our travel plans. We didn't decide to do that until we had made a bunch of travel plans, of course. We're going to Economy Conference in Cincinnati in March. We're going on the Amberly Grant FinTalks cruise in February. We're starting the year off not at our house. We're going to be in New York City and Las Vegas visiting family and taking our kids to some shows that they have really wanted to see. Carl, you spent the majority of 2024 in the car. Do we have any road trips planned in 2025?
We do not. We have exactly 0 road trips planned.
We really have decided that we've been doing too much. And, the list goes on and on. We've traveled for concerts this year. We've traveled for conferences this year. We were going to the BP Con in Cancun, and Carl decided that a quick trip to New Jersey and Germany would be a great precursor to Cancun. And then afterwards, he went to Los Angeles. There's just been a lot of travel. And I think the issue stems from us saying yes to everything. Somebody will say, hey, do you want to see this? Sure, I'd love to see that. Do you want to do this? That sounds great too. And there's a phrase, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. And we have been, that sounds interesting, committing ourselves for far too long. So 2025 is the year of saying no. And the first thing that I am saying no to is more travel.
There are a couple things I want to talk about before we get off of this travel talk. The first one is, why are FI people so obsessed with travel? And to be clear, this probably just isn't a FI thing, but FI people don't have jobs, so we can do it more. Do you have any theories on that?
Well, I think just humans in general want to explore and see things. So they're excited about it. They have the means to do it, which might make it a little bit more prevalent in conversations. I'm trying to think of all the people that I know that like to travel a lot in the FI community. The majority of them don't have kids, but I'm not sure why everybody's so obsessed with it. And clearly not everybody is obsessed with it. But I think that there's an outsized majority of fire community people who are traveling way more than most people are.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. And that is the reason is people like novel and new experiences. And thinking about some of the people who don't travel all the time, like one of them I think is our neighbor and the FI god, Mr. Money Mustache. He travels occasionally, but he's not into it. But what he does is he finds a way to create novel experiences at home through doing stuff like home projects. And I think that's why we might thrive a little bit better at home. Our home life is ever changing. We've moved a bunch of times and we always have projects, but I think this probably deserves its own show or maybe a couple shows because it's a very broad topic. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. People like novel and new experiences, and travel checks off all those buckets.
And when you don't have a job, you can travel more. You're not confined to those 2 weeks a year that most people get. One thing I think is very interesting is that you and I don't do a lot of travel hacking. We have a couple of credit cards for a couple, like one hotel card or a couple of hotel cards, airline card, but we don't do a lot of travel hacking.
No, we do a little bit. We have hotel cards, and we've got our Capital One card, which gets us into the lounge at Denver International Airport, which is really nice. And we get a bunch of free hotel rooms, but there's people who are obsessed. And I just find that a little bit tedious. Like it's always changing, like 1 month you should do these points or this card is better. And then you're supposed to switch cards or sign on for this bonus. And it's just not how I want to spend my time. I'd rather pay a little bit more and not have to pay attention to all of that stuff.
Well, and I think that's the nail on the head right there, Carl. We just don't have the mental bandwidth to spend on travel hacking at this time. So we don't. We have the financial means to just buy the tickets. Okay, Carl, let's talk about our investments. How did our investments fare this year?
There's a couple of things I'd like to talk about. We have a rental house that we bought to move into at some future point. But in the meantime, we are doing a short-term rental. And to be specific, it's a monthly rental. So what is that? That's actually a medium-term rental, correct?
Medium-term rental, yes.
And I think we've had amazing luck with most of our tenants, except for the last one. They left the house in a chaotic state. They spilled a gallon of paint. They cleaned it up with our towels and kitchen utensils. There was food debris everywhere. And I just don't like being a landlord. It seems like there's always problems whenever we're not here. Plumbing issue happened, and luckily our neighbor helped out with that. And then the shower became clogged up, and we had to talk some people through that. But it's just it's something that's always in the back of your mind when you have tenants. And I just don't like being a landlord.
Well, we have plans for that house. We have always had plans for that house. We didn't buy it to be landlords. We bought it because of the location, both on the golf course and directly next door to friends of ours. And we had always planned on moving in there after our children left the house. So we didn't buy it with the idea that we were going to make money off of it. We didn't make money off of it, but we bought it because it was a placeholder. You know, we'll rent it out until we're ready to move in, and then we'll move in because the layout's kind of weird. It doesn't work for our family as it is right now. It would be fine for Carl and I. I think it would be a bit of a different scenario if we were actually making money off of this investment, but we weren't. However, we decided to do something different with this property. Today we are recording. We are having our last tenant move in. She is a friend of a friend of a friend with a problem with her current rental. She'll be there for a month while her current rental gets repaired, and then she'll move out. So we have one last tenant. It's going to be a great experience, she said, not realizing that she's being recorded and she's going to come back in a month and be like, oh my God, it was the worst thing ever. Except no, this is going to be a good experience. What's the worst that can happen? We have decided to do something else with this house. So if it's completely destroyed, that's going to be okay. I say that. I hope she never listens to this episode. All right. What other investments do we have? This year was an interesting year.
I am a very strong believer in index funds. Almost all of our new money goes there. But before I knew what an index fund was, which was kind of recent, I think I discovered them in like 2016. I bought Tesla stock and it did not do well for most of the year. And this was a purchase back in 2012, by the way. And then at the end of the year, it did very, very well. People think Tesla is going to solve their autonomous driving. I'm still on the fence about that. But the stock went bonkers. And the other kind of related investment we have is SpaceX. We're going to talk a little bit more about investing in things like this in a future episode, but SpaceX also had a very, very good year. I could talk about rockets in depth. Should I explain the benefits of a methane burning engine, the Sabatier reaction?
You can email Carl at BiggerPockets.com and ask him all these questions yourself. But no, I don't want to hear any more about rockets than I already do all day long.
I love rockets. I've been obsessed with them since I was a kid. A while ago, I thought this is a great investment. So we bought into it and it had a very good year. And that's all I think we should say about that for now.
When you're investing in stocks and you have one stock that goes from whatever to amazing, that kind of determines the success or lack of success that your investments will have over the course of a year. So is Tesla our biggest holding?
SpaceX have been competing lately. So I think depending on what kind of day Tesla has, it's either slightly bigger or slightly smaller than SpaceX.
Well, and that's interesting. Both of those companies are controlled by the same person or run by the same person. So when your stock or couple of stocks they're all but the same. Like they'll both be up or they'll both be down. Our single biggest investment is in Elon Musk controlled companies. And that is going to determine, his public persona, his public perception is going to have just as much of a drive on the stock price as the actual performance of the company. Maybe even more so, wouldn't you say?
I would say that we have heard from many, many people who tell us they would not buy his products because they don't agree with some of his views.
Okay, we should get off of this topic and move to something else.
Yeah.
Let's talk about spending. Remember a couple of years ago when we went on Ramit Sethi's podcast and talked about how we have such a hard time spending? Well, we are completely cured. Woohoo! No, we're not. We'd love to say that we are, but we have some ways to go. Carl, what are some of the big things that we spent on this year?
Well, I'm looking at the list, and this is a little bit crazy. We went on 2 cruises, and you actually went on 3 because you went on the Fintalks cruise. But we had our Mexican cruise, you had the Fintalks cruise, and then we went on the Alaskan cruise. And not only did we take our core family on the Alaskan cruise, we took our extended family. So we took my mom, my sisters, and their partners. We all went together on this epic cruise to Alaska, and we paid for it all. So that was pretty big. In second place, we bought ski passes along with new snowboard equipment. So we have season passes, and we've already been snowboarding like 3 or 4 times this year, which is great. In third place, we went to some fancy concerts. We saw U2 at the Sphere, which is this crazy cool venue in Las Vegas. We saw Duran Duran. You even flew to Baltimore to see them. 21 Pilots, so we bought good seats for that, and a couple other concerts. I saw Duff McKagan at a show in downtown Denver.
I think it's interesting. You said I traveled to see Duran Duran. I did. It was awesome. It was in Baltimore on my birthday. I went with my oldest girlfriend, and we had an absolutely fantastic time. We have traveled a lot for concerts this year.
Let's talk about some of the small stuff. And interestingly, I think this is more important to happiness because this stuff happens more frequently and it enhances our daily life. So in the small stuff category, I have fancy airport parking.
That sounds way better than it actually is. We're not parking off airport and taking the shuttle bus to the airport. We're parking in the long-term parking across the street from the airport. So we do this because we don't want to wait for the shuttle bus anymore. We have had some pretty unexciting experiences waiting for the bus. It comes and there's only space for the first 10 people or the first 20 people in line, but we're like 47 people back because they don't have enough buses. So it's such a hassle at the end of a trip that we have decided we're just going to pay a little bit extra and park in the on airport long-term parking.
Yeah, it's quite tedious when you come back at like 12:30 in the morning and then there's 100 people in line and the shuttle bus only fits 30. So you're standing there for an hour, and my sleep is more valuable than that.
My frustration level goes way down when all I have to do is walk to my car.
We've had some nice experiences when traveling. We were in California, Los Angeles, and we rented e-bikes and took them up and down the Strand, which was super nice. In Alaska, we took a seaplane ride, which was pretty cool, like a 45-minute ride on one of those planes that takes off from the water. That was a lot of fun.
The next thing up is the express lanes. In Denver, we have reversible express lanes, and if you want to use them, you have to have either 3 or more people in your car, or you have to pay. And it can be like $10 or $15 to travel down the express lanes. And old Mindy would be of the mindset, why would I pay when I could just sit in traffic for free? And new Mindy is saying, I am going to use my money to travel in these express lanes because I don't want to sit in traffic. My time is very limited and I don't want to waste it crawling down the road. So there are times when I have to go into the office, and I live far north of the city and the office is far south of the city. So instead of crawling or getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, I will just use the express lanes, and it costs, $10 or $15 to get down there. But I'm okay with that because I am placing a value on my time, whereas I would have put more emphasis on the value of that $15. But I am buying back my time and I love it.
Cool. And finally, we have just being generous in our day-to-day lives. One thing we do is we'll often buy food or meals for people, buying drinks for people at the HQ. So just being generous whenever we can with others.
I enjoy spending time with our friends, and I don't want it to be a weird thing. So we just pick up the check.
So how could we do better?
How could we? Well, I'm perfect in every way. Carl, how can you be better? My day-to-day spending still gives me a bit of pause. I really like going to the grocery store. I like filling up my cart with the things that I'm going to take home and make for dinner. But I will absolutely compare prices on, pasta is $1.25 this week. Well, it's normally 99 cents, so I'm not going to buy it. I am starting to feel less guilty about big purchases, but I still compare prices at the grocery store. We're getting ready to go to Las Vegas, and we were arguing, we weren't arguing, we were debating, should we get a rental car or should we not get a rental car? And you were like, yeah, but it's going to be like $300. I thought they had free parking at the hotel, but it turns out it's $24 a day. And in my mind, I'm like, well, who cares? $300 compared to our total net worth is really nothing. So why are we arguing about this? On the other hand, I'm still worrying about 25 cents more on pasta. So it's a work in progress, and I'm trying to get better.
I still think and plan too much. So my whole life revolves around efficiency. For example, if I'm going to the store, I won't just go to the store. I'll try to arrange it at a time when there's less traffic. I'll think of how I'm going to get there, so I minimize left-hand turns. I'll think of where else I have to go, so I don't waste all this energy just going to one store. And 15 minutes later, you've spent way more time planning than it would have taken to just go to the stupid store and buy whatever you need to do. There's some days where I feel like I spend half the day on Google Maps or travel websites, just planning stuff or looking up prices. I know it's a waste of my time. So when you're young, money is super important. And I think it's actually worth sacrificing time to save more money because you've got decades to let that compound interest work for you, many, many decades. However, when you're older or wiser, as I'll say, like you, Mindy is very wise, your time is much more important. And these decisions, are less important. You don't need to spend hours trying to find the best price on a travel website or trying to optimize everything. You should know that your time is a lot more valuable and optimize for that rather than money.
So what I'm hearing you say is I should take the internet away from you.
That's a step too far, but almost.
I think that in 2025, we are going to consciously be focused on enjoying ourselves more in the now.
Yes, in the now and here in Longmont, not going all over the world and all kinds of crazy places. I don't think we have any international travel planned. I guess the cruise, that kind of counts for that. But that was planned a long time ago, and we are going to purposefully we're going to not add anything after March, which is economy.
So in 2025, we are staying home, like Carl said. I'm super excited for everybody who can do all of the travel. I'm glad that that's what makes your motor run, but it is not what makes my motor run. So we are actively looking to say no to all the rest of the travel plans that have been pitched at us, and that will be pitched at us. If you're thinking about inviting us on a trip, don't.
Unless you're going to pay for us.
No, not even if you're going to pay. No, we're not going. Remember, no. Just say no.
Okay, if someone wants to pay for me to go to Maui, I'll go and Mindy will stay home. Even though Maui, Mindy is like alliteration, that sounds pretty good.
That's alliteration. Maui is lovely. I'm staying home. Even though we have friends there, I'm staying home.
I'll show you pictures of it.
Fine. No. It is going to be my answer. Hopefully by the end of 2025, I can actually say it.
You have like 1 million tattoos. Maybe you should just get a big no tattoo on your arm and then, or your palm, and then you could show that to people. Wait, do you have any room left on your skin for more tattoos? Or maybe you should say no to more tattoos.
Okay, so we talked a bit about our rental house and how we are pulling that out of service after this next tenant is done. We bought this house about 2 years ago. And like I said, we bought it because of its location directly next door to a friend and on the golf course, which mitigates how many neighbors that you have. We bought it with the idea that we were going to move in there after our youngest graduates. She's currently a freshman. And earlier this year, Carl came up to me and said, "Hey, what do you think about tearing down the house and rebuilding?" And my default answer, my go-to answer, my immediate answer was no. And he said, whoa. Remember, we went and visited a friend and they had this really beautiful house. I'm like, yes, and no, I don't want to build a house, because I was thinking that he was saying we should do the work. And I am absolutely not on board with that. And he said, no, we'll have somebody else build it for us. So I said, no-ish. And he said, remember our friend's layout? I found this really beautiful layout from the same place they got theirs. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, maybe. And maybe has turned into, yes, I'm really excited about this. And this is a big project. How are we going to keep this from overwhelming us?
Ooh, well, we are going to hire most of it out.
Excuse me. We are hiring all of it out.
Wait, I thought you wanted to do the flooring or toilet installation or plumbing.
No, I want to do zero. I am committing to doing 0% of it.
Okay. What about 0.5%?
0.0. Do you see what I have to deal with, people? That's a conversation we'll have offline. Carl, what is coming up this year for Living a Fi Life?
Oh, well, if we actually go through with this crazy house process, we will be talking about that. We'll probably have a separate YouTube channel just to document that we'll publish on weekly. Hopefully it does not end up like one of those TV shows where there's the husband and wife, they're yelling at each other because everything's going wrong and the builders don't show up and the crane falls on the house. Hopefully none of that stuff happens, but I would make for some good YouTube video.
Well, if we do 0.0% of the work, that will not happen.
No. If I did the work, that stuff would not happen because I'm in control. Anyway, we're going to have a good friend who just became a CFP. His name is Eric Peterson, and he's interesting because he retired back around 2019 and then decided to go back to work. And his job is helping early retirees out with their money. So we're going to have him on there. One interesting thing about our financial situation is, without exception, we have handled our money completely by ourselves for the whole stint. But I think for the first time in our lives recently, we've thought that maybe we need some help. Everything is complicated. We've got like self-directed 401ks and IRAs, and then we have our post-tax thing, and then we have this rental house. There's all these buckets we could pull from, and all of a sudden our situation is way more complex. And I think a lot of early retirees are like this as well. The thing is, you're not just throwing money into your Roth 401k or normal 401k anymore. You have to figure out where you're going to draw money from and how much you're going to draw from it. So things are a lot more complicated. So Eric Peterson's going to be on here frequently to help guide us through these decisions, taking listener questions, and he's just a great person. So we're really looking forward to having him on.
Yeah, and he's uniquely qualified to help the fire community because he's been living his FI life for the last 5 years. He's got ideas for financial moves that early retirees or those who are looking to retire early can draw inspiration from. We are also going to be talking about higher level investing strategies, and we'll be sharing conversations with friends who are actually living a FI life. So we are super excited to bring all of this to you in 2025, and we hope we will see you next week.
And we might have some video of you installing new floors or running Romex in this house that we build, right?
No.
Okay. What work would you do?
None. 0%. Remember, it's the year of saying no. No, Carl. No.
What if you could operate the excavation equipment? That sounds like fun.
Oh.
Like digging a big hole in the ground. Oh, see, you're getting interested now.
That would be cool. But no.
Okay.
I'll hit the gas line.
That would be bad.
We would love to hear from you. Do you have any questions about life after financial independence? Do you have any big burning money questions? Do you have anybody you would like to see us interview? Send an email to Mindy@BiggerPockets.com or Carl is spelled with a C, Carl@BiggerPockets.com, and we would love to chat with you. Also, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this. He is Carl Jensen. I am Mindy Jensen, signing off.